Sorry, we were just speaking to you all with mute on, so apologies for that. Simon Mann, would you like to start, please? You also have mute on, I'm afraid.
There we go. Sorry. So that was the shortest Test match since 1935. How do you read what's happened over the last couple of days?
Yeah, it was obviously a very challenging surface. I think we're bitterly disappointed. I feel like we have probably missed an opportunity, more so in the first innings than anything. And you look at the position we found ourselves in at 70 on for 2, we had a real chance to. In hindsight, if we'd have even got 200, that would have been a very good score on that wicket, and the game would have looked completely different. So it's slightly frustrating. It's something that we've got to learn from. We've got to get better, and we've got to keep looking to find a way of scoring runs on surfaces like this. But it is very challenging. You could see that with the scores throughout the whole game, the way that India batted as well, with guys that are more used to playing on turning wickets.
Was the degree of difficulty just too great for English playing on surfaces like that? I mean, was actually the pitch a bit of a lottery?
No, I honestly think the ball had quite a big factor in this wicket. I think that the plastic coating on it and the hardness of the seam compared to the red SG ball meant that it almost gathered pace off the wicket if it hit the shiny side, if it didn't hit the seam, it almost gathered pace, and we're actually due to be beat for pace, not necessarily beaten on the inside, which, if you weren't up at pace, you look back at some of the replays, and actually the bats would probably end up in the right position and would have covered the ball. But because of the nature of it gathering pace off the wicket, I think that had a big part to play in things, and credit to Axar in particular. I think he utilised that and exploited that exceptionally well. And found a very good method, very repeatable method on that surface, which made it very challenging.
28 of the 30 wickets went to spinners. Dom Bess was left out. Can you explain that selection or non-selection?
Yeah. I mean, we look to try and play our best side in terms of utilising that pink ball. Thought the wicket was going to hold together better than it did, and throughout the whole practice days, it seemed around, it swung prodigiously, and seemed like a real threatening option. Easy in hindsight to say otherwise and select a different team. But we wanted to give our seamers, which we feel is a big strength of ours, the chance to exploit those conditions. And unfortunately, it was a slight misread in that regard.
Joe, is it time to return to independent umpires as soon as possible in Test cricket?
Look, I've got no problems with the umpires on the field. I thought they were outstanding. Actually, when it's challenging for the batters, it's definitely challenging for the umpires. And I thought they both had very good games, to be fair. I think you're referring to what happened when we were in the field. And it's more the frustration of the process. It wasn't a frustration with the individual at all. It's the fact that we want the process to be consistent. It doesn't matter if it's just for us. It's for both teams. You want everyone to get the opportunity to, whether it's look at more than one camera, like that was the case this time around. We'd seen it in the first game, in the previous game, where things weren't checked for as long as they could have been. And we had a good conversation with Javagal at the end of day's play. We explained our frustrations and what we wanted to get off our chest, and felt like through that we came to a very good understanding, and I felt like we've actually dealt with it very well, to be fair. That it was a good conversation. They took on board what we had to say, and hopefully that improves things moving forward.
Could you sort of just say what you had to say in that meeting?
Well, it was the consistency of using the technology. So it doesn't matter it's out or not. That wasn't my frustration. I'm not expecting every decision to go in on money that's in the ground, and that was what was passed across, and it's taken on board, and feel like actually, it should improve things moving forward.
Great. Thanks very much. Thank you.
Jeremy Langdon, please.
Yeah, hi, Joe.
Hi, Jeremy.
Despite what you say about the pitch, I mean, Andrew Strauss was saying on commentary back in the UK that it was a lottery and it was unfair cricket. I mean, does he have a point? Because Test matches shouldn't really be finishing inside 2 days, should they?
I mean, let's not hide away from the fact that we've been outplayed again. On this surface, we've still been outplayed, and we have to accept that. But it's a real shame because it's a fantastic stadium. There's 60,000 people come to watch a brilliant, iconic Test match, and I feel for them. They've come to watch Virat Kohli face Jimmy Anderson, Stuart Broad, or Jack Leach, and watch Ashwin against our top batters like Ben Stokes, and almost feel they've been robbed. They've instead had to watch me get wickets on there, which shouldn't be the case. I shouldn't be bowling. So, that's I think the frustration for a lot of people. And the fact of the matter is, it was challenging for both sides. And as a player, all you can do is play what's in front of you. And credit to India, they outplayed us on that wicket.
Yeah, you must have enjoyed that 5 for 8, but weren't you thinking too that you should have picked another spinner?
Yeah, as I mentioned, it's in hindsight, it's very easy to look at things like that. We tried to exploit that pink ball, and we thought that the wicket would hold together better than it did. And unfortunately, they didn't have the impact on the game that we anticipated. So it's easy to sit here now and say we could have gone a completely different way, but it was a very strong team, and it was frustrating that it turned out the way it did.
And Joe, 193 is 6th lowest England aggregate for Test runs in a match. I mean, what would you say about England's spectacular batting decline since the first innings in Chennai?
I think that the fact that it has been very tricky conditions. You look at the scores on both teams within this game. It's been hard work. It's been hard for some very experienced batters in these conditions to score runs as well. It's not just us that are struggling. So, of course, we can be better. We can certainly be better. And the thing that's frustrating, I think, for a number of the guys in our dressing room is we found ourselves in a position at 70 for 2 in that first innings, and we didn't really make it count. And in low-scoring affairs on wickets that do deteriorate, that first innings can be really crucial. So I think that's something that we will look back on. We'll try and, if we get in a position of strength like that again, or in a position where we can potentially get ahead in the game, then we have to take it. And it's a young group. We can't have any scars going into this last game. We've got to keep looking forward, and we've got to keep remembering that we won 6 on the bounce coming into the last 2 games away from home, 6 on the bounce in the subcontinent. You don't become a bad team overnight. And we've got to be realistic about a number of different things. And if we are going to get better, then we've got to understand there's going to be the odd bump in the road. We're not always going to be perfect, but it's how we respond. And that's the most important thing, is that we go into next week with a very good attitude. We take the hurt from this, and we apply it in that performance, and we try and use it as motivation to come away from this series with something. Yeah,
just finally from me, Joe, the World Test Championship hopes have gone as well. Were there any positives, though, to take from this match, apart from your bowling and maybe Zach's batting in the first innings?
I thought Jack bowled beautifully as well, to be honest. I really did. I thought he played. He bowled beautifully. Similar to Axel, he kept the stumps in play, and I'm sure he'll take that confidence going forward. But as you mentioned, Zach was brilliant. I think he timed the ball as well as anyone on that surface in the first innings, and it just proved how important it was to get through those first 20 balls. He played with real fluency. It was great to see him come back in and make a contribution. I think he'll just look at things and probably want to convert that 50 if he gets another opportunity further down the line.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Rory Dollard, please.
Hi, Joe. If I could just revisit with you about the pink ball, some of the stuff you've said about tracking the pink ball through the air or off the pitch even. We've seen early finishes and sort of drastic results in a lot of these pink ball tests, and there's plenty more to come, including the Ashes. Do you feel that we're quite there with pink ball floodlit cricket? Is the jigsaw put together for 5-day cricket with what we've got on the table at the moment?
I think whenever something new comes in and it's, we've not had a big sample size to judge it from, it's always going to raise questions when we have games like this one. I think that, like any new format or new tournament, or it'll take some time to get used to it, to figure out the best methods and the best ways of exploiting, whether it's the ball itself, the lights, the conditions, that twilight period, all the different factors that this kind of test match brings. It'll take a good bank of experience to understand what's going to work consistently. So on this surface, where some were really turning quite sharply and then some were really gathering pace off the wicket, it made it very challenging, because you almost felt like you had to cover a ball that was 5 miles an hour quicker if it didn't spin, and then also cover the ball that was felt like it was turning conventionally and as you would expect. So as I mentioned, I think that the thing that we've got to take from it is that they managed to cover that more or better than us, and probably actually they put more deliveries in that really challenging area. So on a whole, can we sort of get ourselves up to that level if we find ourselves in a similar situation on a similar wicket further down the line?
Thank you.
Will McPherson, please.
Joe, you came into these last 2 tests in the form of your life. Is there anything you feel like you could have done better as an individual or English batting unit in these conditions against these excellent bowlers? And sort of as a follow-up, is this the most extreme and challenging conditions you've experienced in your test career?
Yeah, well, it certainly felt different batting today than it did on that first game of the series. I'd say it's been very challenging. I look back at that first innings in this game and think I'm probably the one kicking himself the most. Yeah, I got done for length with some poor footwork and feel like I should have covered that delivery. And we felt like we were, gaining a nice partnership at that point. So, of course, as a senior batter, someone that's felt in really good form, that comes on your shoulders, and you have to take that honestly and understand that in these conditions, your first 20 balls are very difficult. Once you get in, you've got to make it count. So that's a big learner for me, and something that I can't afford to get wrong if in a position like that moving forward on a similar surface. But it is challenging. It's really tough. It's been tough. You can see it's been tough for their guys as well, who are used to these conditions, or more used to these conditions than we are. But we've just got to keep trying to find a way. We've got to keep looking to explore, experiment. Not be shy. Look forward to the challenge of it, and embrace the surroundings that we're in. It's really try and see it as a way of developing as a player. Open your eyes up to new ideas and practice. Find ways of really challenging your technique and making it as sharp as you can, and giving yourself a load of confidence, or as much confidence as you can when you walk out to bat. I think that's the real test for us in the next few days. Is can we get that mindset and that shift in our approach exactly where we want it to be, and as it was in that first game. So it's one of the challenges of playing long series, 4 or 5 test match series. If you do lose 2 consecutive games, can you not make sure you don't have a hangover effect? Can you make sure you don't have any scars going into the next one? And it's a big learner if we are going to be serious contenders as the #1 team in the world. Then they're the sort of things as well that we're going to have to keep looking to get better at, and not shy away from. We've got to look to take that challenge on and make sure that we're growing as a team all the time.
We've got 5 more now. There's Dean Wilson, Chris Stocks, Tim Wigmore, and Shrin Joyce.
Joe, kind of either national lines or spinner versus fast bowler lines or batsman lines. Can I just get you on the record to say that you're absolutely happy with that kind of surface for Test cricket? You sort of alluded to it, but can you say that you're happy with that surface? And if so, you've got the chief executive of the ECB, the chairman of the ECB over in India. You might have to be socially distanced, but might you suggest that surfaces like this, players playing on them in the county game, might be beneficial to produce spinners, but also produce technique to play against spinners when you come out to these places?
Well, I think that these. It's a very good question. A very tricky one to answer. I think that this surface it's a very challenging one. It's a very difficult one to play on, and it's not for players to decide whether it's fit for purpose or not. That's up to the account of what's in front of us as best we can. And I look back at county cricket. If I'm being honest, if we're going to have serious improvements moving forward, we need to play on better wickets more consistently in the county game. We need to play on games that actually sides get used to scoring 400-500 runs, so the batters get used to making really big hundreds and get used to dealing with scoreboard pressure back in second, which also then allows spinners to bowl. It brings them in the game. You can't ask seamers to bowl 20 overs, get 4 for 30 or whatever. So I think that that's something that we need to look at as a whole. I think that every now and again coming across a wicket like that will open people's eyes and give them an experience. And every now and again you'd expect on a rare occasion to have to deal with a surface quite challenging. Whether it's fit for purpose, I think that's more of a question for the ICC than a player.
And just finally from me, what difference has DRS made on surfaces like that where, clearly you've only got the bat as a line of defence, you can't kick the ball away anymore, so how does that affect things?
Well, it's a bowler's game, and Dean, that's the crux of it. It's clear as day that it's very much a bowler's game, so we just have to take it on the chin as batters and keep fighting a good fight.
Thanks, Joe.
No problem.
Chris Stocks, please.
Hi, Joe. I doubt you have as much influence over pitchers as Virat Kohli does in India, but when you guys rock up at Trent Bridge in August for the return series, will you be hoping for something equally helpful for your team?
No, I think we want to play on a really good wicket. We're going to develop as a team. We're going to have to get used to, and we're going to compete everywhere we go in the world. We're going to have to get used to scoring big runs consistently. We're going to have to get used to bowling on good surfaces and finding ways of taking 20 wickets. And I think that's how you build a good team, is by playing on consistently good wickets. Every now and again, of course, when you're in England, the weather sometimes can dictate can dictate things as well.